Topping today's news, Prime Minister Philip Davis begins debate on the top-up tax bill 2024. Another man shot and killed in the Bainstown community. Shantytown demolition continues in the T-Wash community. And Donald Trump wins the U.S. presidential election. I'm Jcn. This is your Jcn Evening News. It's definitely a pleasure to have you join us. As he led debate on the domestic minimum top-up tax bill 2024, Prime Minister Philip Davis said the bill is breaking new ground, and he estimates that it will earn the Bahamas $140 million in revenue generated each year for the new corporate tax, and he says it will help the government fulfill its transformative, people-focused agenda. He wanted to make it clear, though, that this is not a new tax on Bahamians.
This top-up tax, which is the first ever corporate income tax introduced in the Bahamas, will raise revenues without negatively impacting Bahamian businesses in this country. For those listening intently, who are not sure what this new tax is all about, the first thing you should know is the domestic minimum top-up tax applies only to multinational corporations operating in the Bahamas that earn over 750 million euros per year. And that's around $800 million US or Bahamian. If you are not earning the equivalent of $800 million per year or more, this tax does not apply to you.
In recent times, the official opposition has accused the government of overtaxing the people with its tax and spend policy. Prime Minister Philip Davis wanted to set the record straight as he dismissed this accusation and gave examples of the government reducing taxes.
As you know, Madam Speaker, this administration has pledged not to introduce any major new taxes to place a further burden on the Bahamian people. I wanted to start this debate off by providing clarity on the purpose of this bill, because there are those who would use the mere mention of the word tax to sow seeds of confusion and spread fake news. The fact is that the vast majority of Bahamian people have experienced lower taxes in the past 3 years. We lowered customs duties on a wide range of healthy, nutritious dietary staples. We lowered customs duties on construction supplies and a number of essential goods. We lowered VAT from 12% to 10%, a 20% reduction. That is in contrast now to the 60% increase from 7.5% to 12% under the previous administration. And we increased, Madam Speaker, the threshold for paying real property taxes from $250,000 to $300,000.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader Michael Pintard noted that the top-up tax bill is a global movement. It's an initiative by the OECD with more than 140 countries committed and not a PLP initiative. He says while they support the bill, they do have some concerns how the Davis administration would manage the newly generated revenue.
But, Madam Speaker, our support comes with a great deal of trepidation for several reasons, and reasons that I believe the public will appreciate and understand. Madam Speaker, as we have done in the past, we must once again register our ongoing concern that in this legislation and in its management of our fiscal affairs, the Davis-Cooper administration continues on without a clear, Madam Speaker, coherent document that shows what their fiscal and economic strategy is. And Madam Speaker, I put it that way because even though we look at the fiscal strategy report that's laid in this House, this government has a way of changing it without coming back to this House and justifying the major adjustments that they have made to what they introduced earlier to the country as their roadmap for economic and fiscal management.
If the corporate tax is not collected by the government of the Bahamas, those corporations operating in the Bahamas would pay in another jurisdiction, and the government of the Bahamas would lose out on that revenue. The number of murders in the country entered the triple digits last Monday when there was a triple shooting in the Fox Hill area that took it to 102. And just over a week later, the murder count now stands at 107 and approaching last year's total of 110 after police were left to investigate a murder that happened this morning through Finlayson Street in the Bainstown community. Police were combing an area about 2 blocks wide. They say they believe the man was shot at another location and from where he was found. They believe he was shot and then tried to flee that original location and then collapsed. He is believed to be in his late 20s, early 30s. Superintendent Devon Robinson of the Southern Division said they got a call around 9 a.m. this morning. The male was pronounced dead at the scene. Police need your help in solving this latest homicide. You can call 911 or 919, or you can remain anonymous and call Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. The government continues to deliver on its promise to rid the country of unregulated communities as demolition exercises are ongoing today in the Tiwash Shantytown community in the southwestern area of New Providence, where some 113 homes were being taken down. The exercise began on Tuesday morning. Jermaine Delancey, senior inspector at the Ministry of Works, describes the demolition process, and he says it expects to take 10 to 14 days.
We're estimating about 3 days to do the demolition, and we would say about 5 days to 7 days to remove everything off site. If we need to extend it, we'll extend it probably by 1 or 2 days.
In the past, demolition crews have been met with irate residents. To ensure there is law and order, the Royal Bahamas Police Force is providing support for the Unregulated Communities Task Force from the Ministry of Works. Superintendent Sylvan Carey says the operation began smoothly with no interruptions. He believes the proper communication with the owners of the unregulated homes has helped in the process.
These properties were meant for agriculture and they were not meant for home. So therefore, when we go to issue our notices, it's all about making the persons in the community understand that these are agriculture land that they're building on, and that is the reason why the land is being repurposed back to agriculture.
So far this year, more than 500 illegal structures have been taken down, demolished around the country. They've been to Andros, Eleuthera, and places like that, Abaco as well. According to authorities, this is the last demolition exercise for the year, with the exercises expected to resume in early 2025. And finally, in this segment, Donald Trump has won the U.S. election and will make a historic return to the White House. The Republican told jubilant crowds in Florida last night during his victory speech that America has given his party an unprecedented and powerful mandate. He called for unity and pledged to deliver on his promises to the American people to fix immigration, fix the economy, and create more jobs, among other promises. The Democratic candidate Kamala Harris did not make a concession speech earlier today, but was expected to speak to supporters at Howard University, her alma mater, later today, where she is expected to concede. Republicans have also taken the Senate back from the Democrats after flipping a string of seats. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.